What's interesting is that a lot of these businesses use that money to just cover salaries and operating costs during COVID. This sounds very familiar. All too familiar. Do you remember this lady?
In 2023, Mary Ng stood in Parliament and boasted that the Liberal women's entrepreneurship strategy had launched 500 new businesses. But the government's own audit shows the $130 million fund at the center of it all didn't create a single one. It's the kind of spin Ottawa calls success and Canadians call a lie. One that seems very familiar.
Let's take a look. So this is from Blacklock's Reporter, Cabinet Faked Success Stories, Monday, August 25th, 2025.
A federal subsidy program that gave away more than $130 million on a promise of promoting business startups and creating jobs achieved neither, says the Department of Industry report. Auditors could not identify a single startup or count any net job creation, despite claims of success by then Trade Minister Mary Ng. Quote, fund recipients reported using funds for startups, even though not funded for this purpose, end quote, said the report. Quote, no new businesses were funded, end quote. Auditors examined the Women Entrepreneurship Fund, a program launched in 2018 with a mandate of, quote, helping women-led businesses grow, end quote. The fund paid grants of up to $100,000 to small and medium-sized businesses owned and operated by women. Then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the subsidy essential. Quote, full and equal participation of women in the economy is essential to Canada's competitiveness, end quote, he said at the time.
So, this was being led by Minister Mary Ng at the time, and she had repeatedly said that this program was a roaring success, massive success. She said so in the House, and she said so in a press release that was published on the Canada.ca website. Here's her in the House back in 2023.
I want to thank the member for Scarborough Centre for all of her hard work. The women's entrepreneurship strategy in Canada is working, Mr. Speaker. Since 2018, our government invested over $7 billion. And guess what? In Canada, women entrepreneurs, women-led businesses are growing. They're 18% now, and up from 16%, under 16%. And our ecosystem is helping Canadian entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs grow. Over 10,000 businesses, new businesses have started by women. Over 12,000 businesses have grown under the support of this government. So I want to thank all the incredible women entrepreneurs across the country for International Women's Day.
So there's her in the House of Commons, and here's the press release on the Canada.ca website. So you can see here, Minister Ng announces new call for proposals under the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy Ecosystem Fund, and then you can see at the bottom where it says from 2020 to 2021, the Ecosystem Fund has helped over 5,000 women start a new business and over 7,000 women grow their existing business. This is the claim. There is a problem with this claim. What is the problem?
Auditors said of 3,148 businesses that applied for grants, a total of 322 were accepted at a $130.3 million cost. All 322 were already in business. Quote, the goals of the Women Entrepreneurship Fund were to support women entrepreneurs to start, maintain, and grow their businesses, end quote, said evaluation. Quote, despite this, disbursements from the fund did not go to new businesses for startup, end quote. Numerous grant recipients falsely claimed they were startups, wrote auditors. Quote, it is possible this was due to a lack of clarity in the reporting definitions, end quote, they wrote. Fewer than half of subsidized businesses, 41%, said they used their grant to create jobs. Zero net job creation under the fund was blamed in part on the pandemic.
Well, when you can't blame Stephen Harper and you can't blame the Conservatives, you might as well blame COVID-19. That seems to be the Liberal playbook. Now, we wanted to ensure that, again, we verified what was being said in this article, so we went to find that report itself. Sure enough, we found it on the Canada.ca website. Here it is. So this is the actual audit evaluation of the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy RDA delivered programming. This is the page where this article is essentially drawing a lot of these conclusions from, and that there was a disconnect. The WE fund did not go to new businesses for startup. And this is what the problem is with these claims that Mary Ng is saying. How did this fund go to create all these businesses when the 322 businesses that applied for this were not new businesses?
Well, to be fair, in some of the earlier sentences that we read, it said that it was for new businesses or pre-existing businesses. However, it didn't go to any new businesses.
Well, but she is sitting there saying that we've created over 500 new businesses. And then later she says over 5,000 women started all these new businesses. There's no evidence to suggest that. So you can't just make up numbers and say that this is a roaring success. And then when you're called on it, you say, well, it's because of the pandemic.
But that's the Liberal way.
You can't do that. You can't do that. And if you read between the lines there, and you don't even have to read, between many lines, what's interesting is that a lot of these businesses use that money to just cover salaries and operating costs during COVID. This sounds very familiar. All too familiar. Do you remember this lady? This is Annette Verschuren, everybody. Remember her? She was the chair of the SDTC, and she approved over $200,000 to go to her firm and paid her own salary of over $100,000.
Oh, I thought it was a bonus.
Whatever it was, she paid herself money to cover operating costs during COVID.
I shouldn't be laughing because it's really infuriating. This is taxpayer money. This is taxpayer money that the Liberals are just doling out to whomever they feel like, seemingly with no restrictions. And again, it's us who are paying for this.
Right. And this is the issue, folks. This is the issue, is that it's liberal lie after liberal lie after liberal lie. And when their programs don't work, they just make it up. And then when they're called on it, they're like, well, it's Harper's fault. Or it's COVID-19. Or it's anything but us. It's not our fault. It's Trump's fault. It's Pierre Poilievre's fault. Santa Claus's fault. Who knows whose fault it is? But they refuse to accept the one party's fault that it actually is, which is the Liberals. And they have no control over their programs. They have no control over the oversight. And you have to ask the question, like, who is this money going to? What were these companies that were getting this money? And you especially have to ask that question because if you recall, Sam Cooper had identified Mary Ng as one of these people that was working very, very closely with the People's Republic of China and the United Front Work Department.
She was one of the 11.
So the question is what was she doing? We need to know right now exactly where this money went and who it went to, because when it comes to any of these Liberals now, Canadians don't trust them at all.